Coming up on episode 188, we've got lots of Pokemon talk, D&D Live 2020, Crash Bandicoot finally returns, and much, much more on the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, bringing you the latest and greatest geeky news of the week. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and with me are my wonderful co-hosts, as always, Courtney Bolin.
Y'all, hey, everybody!
And Josh York.
More like Bash Crandicoot. Am I right?
You had all that time to think of that, and that's what you came up with. That is what you came up with.
15 seconds ago when he said Crash Bandicoot 4.
Real talk, I thought this was fake when they first showcased it. I thought it was a joke announcement. And then, like, a week later, it was, like, it's real.
Like, no,
there's footage. Real. There was a video. There was a trailer. There's gameplay and everything. I'm like, like,
yeah.
I was like, no, this was a joke poster. Nobody believed it. But yes. So, Crash Bandicoot 4... wait, what did they say? Well, it's
finally time or something.
It's finally time.
Yeah.
No, it's about time.
It's about time. There we go.
It's about time is the subtext.
I mean, it only took them 20 years.
That's what we call a multi-layered title. There, so, double entendre. But yeah, coming to Xbox One, PS4, 3D action platformer. From my limited understanding of Crash Bandicoot, having never played any of the games, from what I understand, viewed from the front, running towards the camera chase scenes are an integral part of those games.
What game was I playing? It might have been Uncharted, and I'm like, oh, Naughty Dog is pulling a Crash Bandicoot, because there were multiple times where you're like running towards the screen and something's chasing you. I'm like, oh, they're just pulling from their old playbook. I say that all the time. If there's ever a scenario where I have to run at the screen and something's like chasing you, or if it's like a auto scroll type deal, it's like, oh, that's a Crash Bandicoot, because that's like every fourth level is one of those.
It's
which is annoying.
Part two of Escape from the City in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Yes, there you go.
But you're getting chased by a semi for whatever reason. Yeah,
that's a pretty good example of a crash.
Yeah.
As a person who's not a big platformer fan, I say this all the time. And don't get me wrong, there are some that I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked the Crash games when I was a kid. I was a PlayStation kid. I mean, I had a 64 and a PlayStation at the same time. I was pretty lucky. But I played all the old Crash games, and they were fun. What I like about them, as opposed to like a Mario, is the 3D Marios are kind of more like go wherever you like, whereas Crash is like you're on a path, pretty much.
It's linear.
And it's very linear, and that's fine because there's still challenge in it. They were not super easy games.
Yeah.
I remember handing that off to my dad quite a lot, actually.
Yeah. So sometimes you're running forwards, sometimes you're running at the screen, sometimes it goes to side scroll. I like them. It's fun. I can get behind it because it's like, I don't know, with the level system like that, it's like you feel like you progress when you finish a level. Whereas sometimes when games that are a little more open, and I always say this, I have a great grudge against open world games right now. Not that I hate them, they just sometimes irk me. Sometimes you don't always feel the progression.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't, like, you feel like you're not making a dent sometimes.
Yeah, you feel like you're not doing anything, really.
Depends on the game. Everyone's a little different.
Xenoblade side quest grinding. The struggle is real.
Exactly. That's a prime example.
Yep.
I'll talk about that compared to Spider-Man side quests when we get to quest log.
Yep.
But interesting. I'm glad they're bringing Crash back. That was basically.
I want to be clear.
Essentially, PlayStation's mascot
for a while. Yeah.
For a long time. Yeah.
Are they going to do the commercials with the guy in the Crash costume?
Oh, please.
Like,
please do that.
They should.
Oh, Yes, please.
I don't.
Oh, I hope they bring that back.
Are commercials for video games a thing these days?
Yeah, on YouTube, Twitch, like the ads that come up.
That's true.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not really seen on TV
That's
as much.
Funny. I was at my parents' having dinner the other day, and we were just talking about old commercials and stuff because my mom was like posting old commercials on Facebook and like, oh, I remember this Almond Joy or something ad from the '60s, and I was talking with her about it, and we just got to talk about like ads and stuff, and I was like, I don't watch TV, I don't see any ads, but then I started thinking about, I was like, but because we're talking about cereal ads, like my parents are like, you don't see cereal ads on TV anymore, and they're like, well, maybe it's because we're old and we just watch the news channels and we don't watch Nickelodeon or Disney like when the kids lived here.
That is 100% the case. As somebody that watches Nickelodeon on occasion.
Yeah, do they have cereal commercials?
Oh, it's all the time. All the time.
Great. So, and I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, I wonder if like on your YouTube, like if you have a kid who watches a lot of YouTube on your computer, I wonder if the algorithm figures out that by whatever videos they watch, maybe to put like those type of ads, because I wouldn't.
I was
just curious.
So here's
You're an ad guy. You tell me.
Take off my podcasting hat and put on my ad ops hat, because that's what I do in my daily job. Okay, so YouTube, their ad network basically uses something that's similar to like AdSense, and I think it's I don't know if it changed because Google likes to change the names of their platforms on a whim, like all the time. It used to be called like AdSense for YouTube. So AdSense is one of Google's sort of like backfill networks where people can submit like text or graphical ads and stuff to it. Typically, it would be up to the advertiser as to what sort of demographics and systems they want to target.
Yeah, because I end up getting different things.
So they could do it by user demographics, in which case, so like if a kiddo is watching on an adult's account, then it could totally mess things up, and like, you know, just by watching a certain amount of content, it could start to skew your demographics. That said, but the only reason why that works is because the demographics to the account are registered as like an adult, which has less restrictions than advertising. There are a lot of restrictions to advertising to children on the internet for good reason.
But advertisements really mess with your brain, not just kids, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That said, other times they may decide to do what's known as like content targeting, as opposed to demographic targeting, where content targeting
would be... And that goes by what you've looked at, right?
So content targeting is sort of like what would happen with typical, what we think of as like television advertising, where you are not necessarily targeting the end user demographics. Instead, what you're doing is you're picking like what channels you want your ads to appear on. So like you might say, well, I want to appear on gaming content, and then it'll put your ad shown on channels that relate to gaming content, kind of a thing.
I mean, you're still looking to hit a certain demographic, not an age demographic necessarily, but a demographic of some sort.
So grand scheme of things, and like in common parlance, yes. However, so demographic targeting actually pulls in non-identifiable customer data that's specific to that customer or specific to that reader or viewer or whatever. Whereas content targeting it doesn't involve the end user's data at all.
So for an example, would it be like, let's take on YouTube, like if Wormwood Gaming decided that they were going to advertise in like all of Critical Role or Geek and Sundry and all of those types of streams or videos, like that's the target.
So what they might do is they might target videos that have like tabletop RPG related tags or whatever, or in that category. Whereas like with demographic targeting would also be like, yeah, so we want to do that, and then also target, we want to target people 20 to 35.
Yeah.
That also live in Southern California, and you can do that.
Yeah.
Because what it kind of gets into a little weird, murky stuff is when you start introducing like tracking pixels and everything, which Google, from what I understand, tends to not do out of the gate. Is that you typically have to get a third-party service to do that. But that would involve, say, like, and that's typically what sets people's alarm bells off with advertising. Is a tracking pixel is what records your visit to a website, so that then they can, what's known as retargeting, and then deliver ads to you because they detect that cookie on your...
What's the one in my phone that reads my brainwaves and like understands what I'm thinking about and then advertises what I'm thinking about?
That is what that is what we officially in the business call the work of our one eternal Lord and Savior, Taliesin Jaffe.
There we go. Okay, yeah.
No, that's not
the eldritch being of.
It's here. Also, here's the thing. So again, still wearing my ad ops hat for folks that think that Facebook is this big nefarious advertising. So, like, Facebook generally not great. However, most advertisers on Facebook are small companies that either don't know what they're doing or are incredibly lazy and do not actually put any demographic targeting on their stuff and just want to hit everybody in the United States. That is why you often see stuff. As someone that tries to actually target ads to people that might be interested and actually click on them, it is incredibly frustrating. You also have the capability of adjusting what ads you see on a per ad basis. And if you don't like something, you can block all of the ads from that advertiser. You as the ad user have that capability. Use it. And then you end up like me.
I've done that.
Yes. Yeah. And then you end up like me, and
They've
you
done that, and I have
far too many ads that
ads like that too.
You get far too many ads that are super relevant, and you buy way too many things off of Facebook.
These things happen.
I don't think I've ever bought anything from a Facebook ad.
I got a Zelda bathrobe once. I got a
hey, that Zelda bathrobe is pretty good.
I got the big map book that I have where like it folds out and it lays flat. Because like all the pages are like laminated or whatever. It's a couple things like that. A couple Kickstarters, stuff like that.
I was gonna say I did my Keyfish Kickstarter because I saw it first on Facebook.
Although I will say I came close a couple weeks ago because there was some Street Fighter deck building game they kept advertising to me. And I was like, ooh, I kind of want that. How do they know this is something I would really want? And I was on the page to get it, and I was like, nah.
So my question is, do you like any Street Fighter pages on Facebook?
No.
Okay.
Do you liked any Street Fighter posts?
I go to like a lot of Street Fighter website. Maybe it's my cookies. I don't know if he's using my cookies.
It might be your cookies. Yeah.
Because like I'll watch a lot of like YouTube videos of like Evo tournament stuff, or I'll watch the classic Daigo block from Street Fighter Alpha from back in the day. I'll watch that a couple times a month, But I think it's just probably my cookies from like I'll look up Street Fighter stuff now and then.
Might be.
But anyway.
So anyway, ad ops hat coming back off because I have to do that 8 hours a day, and it is tiresome. So that's why, folks, 8bitadventures.com, I would very much like to not have to resort to advertising to fund it. So just might as well shout out now. Thank you to all of our patrons who allow me to continue to not have to bring my professional job into my personal life.
Yeah.
So.
And that all started with us talking about Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. Yep. So moving on. So just another quick thing.
Yes.
Smash Brothers newest fighter has been announced. Min Min from ARMS. So Min Min is like the owner of a ramen shop.
Oh!
One of her arms is a dragon.
Cool.
Yeah. So
cool.
Instead of springs, are our arms noodles?
Yes.
I've never played it, and when you said, I took a guess.
Yep. I mean, it makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. The release video was pretty cute. It was like, it starts off where it's Captain Falcon and Kirby are eating in a ramen shop, and
one would have been funny. Sorry, if they totally did a fake out with another Fire Emblem character.
Oh,
just to really make the fans a little angry.
I want them to do that with a character that the community would go nuts for, and start it off as
Claude. Do it with Claude. Everyone loves Claude.
Well, no, but like, as far as like making everybody think that it's for a Fire Emblem character, and then like switch it out at the last minute, like they do for like they did for King K. Rool and Banjo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, fake it, have it be Claude or some whatever. That's just the Fire Emblem character I think of that everybody loves from Three Houses, and I would fake out and have it be somebody totally different.
Having it be Claude might be a little mean, just because like people like Claude. Like,
I know.
I think have it be really, like Lawrence.
Really, really mean.
Have it be Lawrence, because nobody likes him. So,
Bernadette.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Recordian gift and subs.
Whoa.
Wow.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rack.
Yeah. That puts us one more closer to our Robot Unicorn Attack celebratory stream.
Oh man, that reminds me. I have to check. That reminds me, because you have to do this every month. I need to check my Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I need to check my Twitch Prime because I get my one free sub, and I need to make sure that I've re-upped it.
Yep.
So,
anyway, I don't want to waste too much time on chat stuff. So Midman's gonna be the first fighter in whatever the new wave is. Really quick, Legends of Runeterra. So we talked about it last time. That's the League of Legends D&D Beyond Adventure. Apparently, it's limited time only available until August 10th. It's super weird.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and I don't know what happens after that point. So, it makes me think
people put the PDF up on their Google Docs and share it with everybody.
Yeah.
That.
So it makes me think, like, basically, everybody just start making. So with the way that D&D Beyond works is if you have an existing character that is using.
Like how May
that's using like subclasses and stuff that then like get archived. They won't like delete your character. So I guess everybody start making some characters that have those subclasses and like equip all the magic items. So that way you still have access to them and then just homebrew them, I guess. But again, I don't know why it must be a weird licensing thing, but like
probably.
Why
promotional kind of
why
time
Rito?
Limit.
Yeah.
Because Riot wanted us to ask why.
Because and this will lead into our next bit of news because Riot's too busy. It's not actually Riot. Making Pokemon Unite. It's actually Tencent. So
what?
All right, so we got a whole bunch of Pokemon news, and a lot of it is
lots and lots of Pokemon.
A lot of it made me question everything. So this week we had two, basically they're called Pokemon Presents, because they basically want to do Nintendo Directs, but not just steal the name, because Pokemon's a separate company.
But I was going to say, but these are specifically from the Pokemon Company, right?
It is from the Pokemon Company. It is not from Nintendo.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing to remember for some of these announcements. So, first up, so today, Pokemon Unite was announced. It is going to be a cross-platform mobile and Switch game, where it is a 5v5 kind of League of Legends light MOBA featuring Pokemon. With the idea
I don't know how I
being-
feel about this.
Yeah, it's also like there's no forts, there's no camps, there's no cores or bases or whatever they call them in League of Legends.
Yeah.
Towers.
There's no towers.
Yeah, I was gonna say no towers.
How do you lane?
Yeah.
How do you lane if there's no tower?
So there are packs of wild Pokemon.
Yeah.
Well, so the whole point of the game is there are packs of wild Pokemon, and you attack the wild Pokemon, and when you defeat them, you get like a Pokeball, and you then have to take that Pokeball and go to what would basically be like a fort, on the enemy's side of the lane, to then drop it off. And if you don't get attacked while you're dropping it off, you then score points, and the points are how you win the game.
So is it like first 1 to 10, first group to 20, like?
It's first to some number. I wasn't paying it that much attention to what the final score was. Yeah. For Heroes of the Storm fans, kind of reminder of like, I want to say, what was the Raven one?
That's the one where it shoots the friggin' the
yes.
I hate that one.
Yeah.
It's my least favorite map.
No actual words have really been spoken in that quick thing, and it's just the one that no, I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, or possibly like Blackheart's Bay, where you're turning in something. It's just I
kind of like that one.
It's just you have to take the stuff and then turn it in on the opponent's side of the map.
That's fine. I'm just curious, like, how do you, if there's no towers? I mean, if it's just waves,
of enemies,
like of creeps, like is that that and the player's the only thing that's preventing you? Because without towers, towers is like the main thing that kind of decides the flow of the game.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just creeps and the enemy players.
Okay. I mean, I guess like the games should be fast.
It looks like the map is pretty small.
Yeah, I saw a picture of the map. It does look very small.
Yeah. But yeah, and then they include like evolution mechanics, so that like in other MOBAs, you start out with like a level 1. You might start out with a level 1 Squirtle, and then when you get up to a certain level, it evolves into Wartortle, and then evolves into Blastoise. You pick different Pokemon abilities as you level up, so similar to like talents, and base skills.
I assume you don't buy gear.
Nope.
Figured.
Yep.
I mean, it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, and then you also have a special Unite move, which is basically an ult.
Yeah,
like you would have.
Pretty standard.
Yeah. So yeah, that announcement not liked at all by the community. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's basically, it wasn't what people wanted, and when Pokemon fans don't get what they want,
they throw a fit.
They rage harder than Gronk.
We had this conversation before stream, but that's everybody.
Yeah.
But I like that they rage harder than
they do.
Yep.
And I think it's partially there were expectations that it was going to be something different. And by different, I mean a remake of an existing game. So not actually that different. But then it was like because it's Tencent and because it's going to come out on phones and this and that and so it's a number of factors, but I mean, if this had come out like 5 years ago, I think I might have been all over it. I don't know if there's going to be a community to support it.
Well, there's
as of right now, they have not announced if there's going to be a versus AI mode, so it's going to rely on matchmaking.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't care. I don't want an AI versus mode. Like, if it's competitive game, be competitive game, fine. I don't know. I'll probably try it out just to see what the deal. I can't imagine myself getting super into it, but who knows?
Yeah. Also free to start. But not really any indication as to what that means.
I know what that means.
I don't like that.
Well,
I do not like that.
So the question
part
is,
at all.
so that can mean a couple different things. Is it like Super Mario Run, where it was you basically get, like when you download the game, you basically get a demo, and then after a certain time period, it's then like, okay, here's the full price of the game. I think because it's going to be on phones, I can't imagine it being a full price title.
Yeah.
If it's on phones, there's got to be some type of microtransactions.
100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
But like, it's Pokemon, so like
skins, costumes.
Well, because that's the thing.
That's my thing. Is it going to be skins and costumes? Because that's not. You don't need to. You don't need.
Because like with Pokemon, the only official like alt skins that they usually do
that's every
are
MOBA,
shinies.
That's MOBAs, that's Counter-Strike, that's everything. You don't need those things to win, but you want to show off like what you got.
Yeah,
like, and to be honest, if it's that, I'm okay with that. I'm
100%.
okay with. I'm 100% okay with skins. I'm okay with that because again, it doesn't impact your gameplay at all.
Well, so my point is, how are they going to do that with Pokemon, which typically
outfits
you have.
Yeah, I totally see them putting them in costumes and outfits and stuff.
I mean, it would be a new thing for Pokemon to do, because typically the only Pokemon that they've ever put in outfits are Pikachu and Eevee.
Right.
Yeah.
But why not? You could easily
if they're doing
throw a Hawaiian shirt on a Gengar. I'd get that skin.
I mean, that's that's just what happens when Ricky gets KO'd. So I mean,
I imagine Ricky and Gengar have basically the same body shape.
They do 100%.
So,
yep,
that's why I thought that.
Yep.
I mean, you could easily do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or are there alternate versions or like art? So I don't know.
Oh, you could have they could do like the Alolan versions of different Pokemon for different skins.
Maybe there's going to be shiny version.
Yeah, so I mean, you could do regional versions if they exist, and shiny versions.
Yeah.
I mean, for Pokemon that have mega versions, you could do that.
True.
Or Gigantamax. Yeah. Well, they're not going to do Gigantamax versions, because the whole point of Gigantamax is that it's gigantic.
Yeah.
So yeah. It gets weirder, folks. So not as weird, but puzzle game, Pokemon. What is it? I just had a.
Is it Snap?
No, Pokemon Cafe Mix.
What?
It's basically like a match puzzle game where you're swirling. You're basically swirling like coffee to match up a Pokemon's icons, as if it were like little like flavor shots and stuff like that. I actually might try this out. I've heard mixed reviews on it, but again, it's available for Switch and mobile.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean, it looked like a nice, fun little puzzle game. And then like you use so as you progress and like finish levels, you like build out your cafe, which is like a little Pokemon cafe.
So Sean, you went a little robot on me. Did you say this is out current? Like it is out now?
It is out now.
Okay.
I think it came out today or yesterday, maybe.
Interesting.
But yes, so before we get to what was probably the biggest Pokemon news this week, the weirdest news, also Pokemon Smile, or as I like to call it, Pokemon Teeth.
I thought that was the big news.
No. Oh, no. This is some kind of weird, like, toothbrush simulation companion app, like, to help get kids to brush their teeth by, like it's like an AR game or whatever. So, like, the kids are brushing their teeth, or no judgment, adults that want to play this or whatever, brushing their teeth, but then it shows, like teeth and like a brush, like also scrubbing teeth, and like as you're removing plaque, like Pokemon are popping out and then you catch them. Yeah, weird. It's really weird.
I mean, I can understand, like, okay, let's make brushing teeth fun for kiddos, and honestly anybody, because it's a boring, tedious task. when did we need to bring video games into brushing teeth? I thought like the best part about brushing teeth was when they did the bone conduction ones that had the music play through it, and you brush until
that's
the
cool.
music was done.
Yeah.
Like that was like, I was like, yes, toothbrushes that play music, you brush until the music is gone, like, or until it's done. Like that, I thought that would be like the end of it. Why are we bringing gaming into teeth brushing?
Because you can make money.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah. It's weird.
Understand.
Nobody gets it, Courtney. Nobody
Okay.
understands. It's okay to be confused about it.
Thank you.
Biggest news though, new Pokemon Snap. It's coming to Switch. It's basically everybody's been wanting another Pokemon Snap game. We're getting it. A lot of people were noting the Pokemon in Pokemon Snap actually look better than Pokemon in Sword and Shield. I would counter with, that's because you don't have to have battle data in Pokemon Snap, so you can actually focus a lot more on the visuals. But yeah, you know, it was nice to see some good looking little Pokemons in there. I had never played the original Pokemon Snap, so I may pick this one up.
What?
So I didn't like. I got a lot of weird titles for N64 when I was.
Even I played the original Pokemon Snap.
I remember it, but I didn't.
And I friggin' hate Pokemon.
I remember it, but I don't think I actually played it. I think it was something that my boy cousins played, but I didn't.
I mean, I have somewhere in some edition of Nintendo Power that's still lying around, like a full-blown guide to like 100%ing Pokemon Snap, and like I read that, like religiously.
Well, I know it's cool. They can add more stuff to it because it's just modern day. You can add more like DLC and like new stuff to it, which would be cool because Pokemon Snap's kind of a limited, like, game. I'll call it a game, quote unquote. But I mean,
where you went around just trying to get pictures of all the Pokemon, right?
Yes.
But you want
making sure I'm on the right page.
That is
and there's like challenge pictures. Like you want, like you can make certain like. You can trigger certain things to happen in the level to get like special pictures of certain Pokemon, or get Pokemon to do certain special actions.
Get them to do something special, and so. But yeah, you're able to like. You are a Pokemon paparazzo, basically.
You are a wildlife photographer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not.
And you're just riding. You're riding a.
It's doing invasive things to get them to do what you want them to do to get the picture.
You're riding on a track through a Pokemon habitat, taking pictures, and throwing fruit at them.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So, and then speaking of DLC, the Isle of Armor is here.
Yeah, it is.
So, Courtney and I have been playing.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot.
So, and what's nice is that because we have different versions of the game. So, Courtney, what do you think of? Is it Avery?
The psychic. Yes. I believe that's. I think that's that annoying twat's name. Because he's very, very annoying.
Rated E for everybody.
He's so annoying. I don't like him. He's a jealous little. He's a meanie. He's not nice, and he's annoying, and he's a bad loser. I don't like him.
Meanwhile, I don't remember her name.
Yeah.
Let's see. Isle of Armor, Poison.
Yes,
Poison
because
Trainer. Clara.
How do you like her? Is she annoying and mean and rude?
I really liked Clara, actually.
No, that's good. Okay, cool.
Driz is in the chat. Driz hates Clara more than Avery. So here's the thing. So Clara, also kind of childish and petulant and everything, but like, it's just like she's kind of naturally talented, and she's just kind of been like riding that talent, not putting in any work, and then like you kind of bumble your way into getting into this dojo, when in fact it was like some other guy that was supposed to go in, but he was like, "Oh no, I'm scared. I can't do it." So you were just like, I'm just here to catch Pokemon, and now suddenly I'm enlisted in this dojo.
Yeah.
But
I've been doing a lot. I am almost done with the storyline.
Yeah.
For
It's the
Isle of
fact that
Armor.
I mean, yes. Clara is like Team Rocket, where she's not a great person, but you like her anyway.
Yeah, no. My guy is like, just no.
Also,
Just
so spoilers. She tries to. So the last challenge that you do is you have to fight against her, and she basically sabotages the field by throwing toxic spikes out before the match starts.
Yeah.
But like, if you're using a poison type Pokemon so that it doesn't get poisoned, like, it's just gonna, or something that's immune to poison, like a steel type.
Yeah.
Which I had. It was just like, oh, I soaked up those toxic spikes. What were you doing, Clara?
Mm-hmm.
It's all right. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
No, I don't like my rival on the Isle. Yeah, he's whiny and annoying. But what I do like, though, is I have been scavenging all throughout the Isle all of the Digletts.
Yeah, there's some weird dude who caught 150 Diglets.
151.
And then they all got out. 151 Diglets. It's like,
yes,
bruh, you need like one, right? Just one.
Maybe two
to get Doug Trio.
Yeah.
You don't need that many Diglets. What are you using them for?
So I have found all except for 18. I have finished 9 of the areas, and I have 7 areas left.
Yeah.
And now these, like, I have like 1 in the Soothing Wetlands, 3 in the Forest of Focus, 2 in the Challenge Beach. Like, I don't have any more than 5 in any of them.
Yeah, and I mean, and so for the audience's benefit, so how to find them is they will just show up, because I think most of them are Alolan Diglets.
Yes, they are.
So they just have like little tufts of hair that stick up out of the ground. So it looks like, I mean, when I was first wandering around, I was like, oh, what's this weird potato just like sticking up out of the ground? And then you click on it, and it's like, oh, boink.
Yeah. You get the little exclamation mark, and it's like,
so,
that's a thing.
So it's a nice little extra thing in there.
I will say it's actually really nice because I've gotten to see, like, I'm not just going directly where I need to go for the storyline. I've really, really, really immersed myself in the entirety of the island, which I think if you just follow the storyline, you don't really go that many places.
Nope.
And so it gets you to do that. I've also been just collecting watts like crazy. And
there is something I do want to touch on.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this has been patched yet, but if you're like me, and you had a pretty extensive Pokemon collection going into the Isle of Armor, and you were like, I'm not going to catch all these Pokemon, I'm just going to port them in. Unless they fixed it, you will not get credit in your Pokedex for those Pokemon, unless you drop them off at the daycare and then pull them back out. If you're like me, and that's like hundreds of Pokemon, nah, I'm just going to wait for them to patch it. Because apparently it is a known bug. That,
oh, wow.
Like, I have the Pokemon, they're sitting in my boxes, I didn't get credit for it. And it's literally the same Pokemon. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to say is Whale Lord is he's a big boy.
I thought that Wailord was a like sunken plane.
Yeah.
I legitimately thought that he was a sunken plane when I rode up to him.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out, Driz. So, pointing out, So there is also a mythical Pokemon quest going on right now for raid battles. Zeraora, who's just the lightning cat. So I think it's if they get 1 million people to defeat Zeraora, they basically unlock a shiny one for everybody. So strat is get yourself Pokemon with Lightning Rod. My guess is that it's using a lightning attack that tries to hit everybody, or only has lightning-based attacks. So Pokemon with Lightning Rod, immune to electric damage, and it like taunts electric damage to it. So if you're gonna, that also means any allies. So like if somebody, like 4-person party, enemy Pokemon tries to use like Thunderbolt on your, ally that's like weak to lightning, weak to electric type attack, it just redirects it. Saying nope, it has Plasma Fists, which that sounds electric based. Superpower, that's fighting based. Blaze Kick, that's fire based. And Outrage, which is a dragon type attack. Okay. So that's basically Lightning Rod to absorb Plasma Fist, but then you hope you don't get superpowered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. My hope is that when I remember to do it and get in game, that I can actually find. Plasma Fist turns enemy normal attacks into electric, and it absorbs lightning damage, or it absorbs electric damage, so that if you then try and attack it, it just heals.
Aha, that makes sense then.
And AIs have a tendency to use normal type attacks, which is bad. So
yeah. All
right,
but
any final thoughts about the Isle of Armor?
I thought there would be more armor.
Oh, that's the thing, right? I'm glad you actually brought that up, even if it was a joke. So Perfect. The dojo talks about how like your reward is a suit of armor, and I was like, oh, great.
Yeah,
that's gonna be fantastic. Like basically a new costume or whatever. No, it's the armor that you get is a Pokemon.
Yes,
and it's the little.
I thought it was gonna be the
Cub
friends
food.
you made along the way. That was the
no,
armor.
it's the Cub and it depends on if you go to. Sean, did you go to darkness or did you go to water?
I haven't done anything yet because I've been playing other games.
I'm heading to darkness.
I've been going to oh geez, Rayclast. That's where I've been going. But we'll talk about that in Quest Log. So,
but
all right.
I'm very much enjoying it. I need to find these last 18 Diglets. I need to find them.
Yeah. Last up, D&D Live 2020. So D&D had Wizards of the Coast had their big D&D event. They revealed Icewind Dale. Rime of the Frost Maiden is going to be their new adventure book, premiering in September. They also put out a statement. So I know I've talked about before about like there's this movement to decouple like ability scores from races, kind of a thing. Seems like Wizards is getting on track with that, and they're gonna put that in a future upcoming book, kind of theorized to being like another Xanathar's Guide to Everything type thing. But they haven't officially announced stuff, just that they're working on this. They also put out some very sparse errata for Curse of Strahd and Tomb of Annihilation to, quote-unquote, like, remove some of the problematic elements. I don't know if it went far enough to actually achieve that goal, but it sounds like, the errata is just removing, like, a couple words here and there. Changing... Curse of Strahd was a little more extensive, where they changed around some of the Vistani NPCs. Whereas Tomb of Annihilation was just like language changes. But like it was also kind of inconsistent. So but anyway. So regarding Icewind Dale, it's basically a horror themed adventure path. Where got a couple of things going on. So one is apparently I have not noticed, but folks that are far more observant than me have noticed. I guess like most of the campaign settings and adventure paths have been featuring like or have had some element of these obelisks that have been poking up out of the ground. And that's gonna tie into this adventure. Seems like it's some sort of Netherese city trapped under the ice.
Hmm.
We're gonna get a Chartalon dragon. So I believe hang on.
I don't know what that is. I didn't even know they said that there's going to be a ton of new monsters.
Yeah, 50 stat blocks in the book, I think they said. So, Chartalon. So, Chartalon, I guess, has been featured in some of the Forgotten Realms books before as, like, it's kind of like a crystalline-like metal or something that, like, readily absorbs magic. Because it readily absorbs magic, also readily absorbs, like, demonic energy, and then if it absorbs that, can corrupt things around it. Based on some of the adventures that we saw, there is some kind of Chartalon dragon that WizKids was showing off a big old chunky mini.
Nice.
For like big. It's like $80, but it's like this big. And it's a hefty boy. Hefty boy. And let's see, it's gonna have Dergar. They talk about the environment being kind of as much of a villain as the villains are.
You're essentially in the Arctic.
Yeah. So I think that is gonna lay the groundwork for if they ever want to do Dark Sun as a setting, because like that's also kind of the name of the game for Dark Sun.
Yeah.
There's going to be some kind of gnoll vampire that is like a major villain. And then the Frost Maiden, who has like different forms. We were kind of talking about in the pre-show. Of just like we'll have to wait and see, just because of some of the imagery. But I gotta say, like the like owl-headed, horned thing, dig it. I like that as a form of like kind of primordial winter.
Yeah, I think it's good imagery on the cover.
Yeah,
and I wasn't so excited about it being Icewind Dale because whatever, I'm fine with that. I'm more interested that they're doing like a winter horror vibe. And I watched a couple interviews with Perkins, and he kept saying The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, was a big inspiration. And I was like, oh, okay, that does seem pretty cool. Like that whole idea of just imagine the driving snow and you can't see it that far in front of you and you don't know what's out there, but you know there's weird stuff going on around you, and trying to set that tone and mood to me is interesting and intriguing.
Yeah. And then, you know, just the idea of, because like part of the horror for The Thing is that like normally the idea for like a plot like that is to escape. But when you're in such and as we talked about how the environment is as much of a villain, you can't really escape, because like the moment you leave an interior that is like sheltered, I mean, whatever monster probably not going to go away, so now you have like double the danger of trying to get away. So unless of course unless of course you were previously playing Storm King's Thunder and still have one of them handy dandy conches.
Yeah.
Yep,
that's an easy fix. You just put them in a space-time rift where it doesn't work.
Yep. So but yeah, I'm kind of interested to see like a lot of these monsters that they have. Also the fact that they wanted to make sure that even if you weren't interested in running an adventure in Icewind Dale, that the book had ideas, concepts, and elements like just readily available for like dungeon masters to take and incorporate into their own games. So it seems like as much of an adventure path as it is, it also might be a little bit of like, well, here's some tools like for dungeon masters for you to use that you can then like, you know, take or leave as you see fit. They also talked about how they wanted to kind of break it up so that like if you wanted to just take one of the adventures and run that, you know, outside of the context of the rest of the book, you could do that. And it not feel too out of sorts. Not a place.
Cool.
As far as the live event itself, I watched some of the games. They were pretty fun. Kate Welch running D&D for the Game of Thrones cast and then having a hilarious ending to it was great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching those. I wasn't able to watch live.
It, but that game was a lot of fun. The game that Chris Perkins ran was a lot of fun. I have not watched the Beefcake Destroyer game, where Jeremy Crawford ran it for WWE personnel.
Oh goodness!
That was the title they bestowed upon Jeremy Crawford, is Beefcake Destroyer.
That's probably the best group of actors they got playing.
Yes. I know. So Xavier Woods was in there. Always love seeing him.
Yep.
Especially since we don't know if we're gonna get any PAX stuff this year. That way, I don't know if he was playing his Acquisitions Incorporated character. I hope that he was. But yeah. So yeah, there was some kind of weird like role-playing / reality show thing. I didn't really pay too much attention to it. It seems like it was some kind of weird experiment that they got a lot of positive feedback on. It was supposed to be like a fake reality show, but like also incorporating an adventure and mystery to it. I don't know. It was we had D&D that day, so it was like I can't watch any of it today.
Yeah, because that took up the whole day.
Basically.
Yeah.
So yeah. In addition, we are getting a dice set. That includes like some monster cards and stuff like that. I will say all of the graphic design work on that by C-Team's Tristan Falcone. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have to look up some more pictures of the dice set because they look pretty, but I need to compare them to the dice sets that I already have because they look really similar to some of the hundreds of dice sets that I own.
Yeah.
And I'm trying really hard not to buy duplicates. And now it's getting to the point where I have
like
to.
All dice sets look very similar to each other.
No. My honeycomb dice do not look anything like all of the new dice that I got for my birthday.
I mean, so not that I want to excuse Courtney's problem.
Hey, at least it's not drugs.
At a certain point, that's not really going to be much of a defense. There is a big difference between like my translucent set and say Sean Robbins's like I'm going to kill you with this metal spiky set.
Well, like there's so much difference between both of these
they're different colors. Oh man.
Yeah. This one almost looks like a jade almost. And this one just is very, very they're so different.
One's green and black and one's black and yellow. Wow.
Also want to give a shout out. So they talked about this company on the side table that day. I think it was Dice Envy.
Ooh, Dice Envy's fun. Dice Envy, it can be very fun.
Yes, Dice Envy, which
Mhm.
is a dice company. So
I am familiar with Dice Envy.
well, yeah, but our audience might not be, Courtney.
Yeah. No.
So
They have some very, very nice dice.
So yeah. So go check them out if you're looking for dice. And anything else? Also, check out the Black AF side table. It's sort of meant to be like the third in the series after the two roundtables. And because of the like overwhelmingly positive feedback from those, Wizards actually like reached out to
Nice.
reached out to Critical Bard, and asked them to be part of the event. So again, go check those out and watch them, because they're great. It's a great way to see what a lot of what Black content creators in the tabletop RPG community are dealing with on a daily basis. And just go support Critical Bard. Go support Omega Jones. As well as Gabe James Games, Honey and Dice. Hang on. I actually have it written down. Because I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly. I believe Tanya's is Cipher of Tyr. Yes, Cipher of Tyr. Michael Kritz, Swordsfall, Quiddy. I'm forgetting a couple people. I'm sorry. But yeah. I can certainly tell you, especially, since Critical Bard, since Omega Jones, which, coolest name ever, was talking about wanting to, he has published like two subclasses, music themed subclasses on DM's Guild. And has been talking about how he wants to expand it out to like all the classes, and then kind of do like a Bardic College module.
Oh, fun!
So it's like a dorm life module for musically themed characters.
Interesting.
So yeah, I'm excited for that because like everybody talks about like Wizard School, but like what about Bard School? Music Academy. So, yeah. I think that's actually going to wrap up our news for this week. So
nice.
I just want to take a couple minutes to talk about what's going on with 8-Bit Adventures.
Yeah.
All right. So in regard to stream schedule, Jamora will not be on Friday this week. It will be on Saturday, 7 p.m. So same time, just on Saturday, because Friday's my birthday and I'm not streaming.
Fair.
That even if I wanted to, the wife said no. So, and that's fine. I want to spend my birthday myself. So Jamora will be on Saturday. There won't be a makeup stream for Xenoblade over the weekend. But tomorrow there will be a Xenoblade stream. So gonna do that then. And there will be a regular art stream Saturday morning as well. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but who knows? Maybe if Josh needs more emotes, I'll do some,
I have been
some biddy emotes.
Now that I didn't know you could do biddy emotes. Now when you showed me that,
I totally forgot about it.
Yeah, I may put another commission in.
Yep. And then speaking of which, we have bit emotes.
What?
And they're all
what
done.
Are bit
that's
emotes?
right. That's right, Courtney. I don't know if you saw them.
I haven't.
We've got one for Iggy, one for Melody, and one for Skull Flakes.
Cool. What?
Because
Skullflakes?
it's from the comic. So when Cornflakes is
When
wearing a little
Cornflakes had the
skull.
skull on her head?
Yes.
Nice. Nice.
Yes. So you can get these in the chat by donating or by cheering bits, whatever it is.
Mhm.
I think it starts at like 500 or something. I don't know.
Oh.
Do you set it, or is it automatically set?
There are certain tiers at which when you like it's certain set tiers, and you can say which emote to put at which tier.
Oh, I didn't know if you could set what the what number of bits each one was. Okay, so it's I gotcha.
Yes, but
so it's like probably like 500, 1,000, 5,000 or something.
It's something like that, yeah. So, yeah. I also have updated basically little subscriber badges so that they're all pie cakes now.
Nice. Now, are those like the little badges next to our names in chat?
Yes. So if you've been a subscriber for X number of months, you get like a little pie cake badge. Cool. It changes over time if you're consistently subscribed. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So. But yes. No comic this week. Just got overwhelmed with stuff. Decided to take the week off. Get used to it, folks.
Yeah, this is
and also as a reminder, we only have like a couple of episodes left before what will hopefully be like a 2-week hiatus, but it may be longer. I won't know until the baby comes. So and depending on how fussy baby is. You know, if baby's not very fussy, we may get right back to doing the podcast fairly soon. If not, it may be a while.
Yeah.
Just take some time and be with your kid. That's what I say.
I was gonna say, yeah, that whole thing about bringing new life into the world,
fussy or not,
you know.
Yeah. But
nurturing that
especially since I will have to go back to work after a week. Yeah.
Ew.
So that's always fun. But yeah, so that's just what's going on with 8-Bit Adventures. So now it's time for Quest Log. Quest Log is where we talk about what sort of geeky activities we've been up to since the last episode.
More like Quest Frog. I'm on fire today.
Are we playing Chrono Trigger?
Oh, maybe someday.
I'm not playing Chrono Trigger. I kind of gave up on it.
I figured. I've not played it since I was like 15. Yeah, 16 maybe.
It's I appreciate for what it is, but
I have the same thing with old games. Like old games, I have a hard time going back and playing now. Just because there's quality of life things in newer games that
even with other games at the time, like Final Fantasy games with a job system, just for me have a bit more depth than like character building than Chrono Trigger did. So but anyway, so Courtney, I mean, we kind of talked about your stuff.
Yeah, and then I remembered I haven't been on podcast for like a month.
Yep.
Because I've also gotten a bit further in Fire Emblem. I wanted to finish it last weekend, but Pokemon happened.
Okay, Sean's
I know.
You picked Pokemon over Fire Emblem?
Diglets, man. I gotta find the Diglets.
Claude. And I don't even like Claude.
That, and I also was able to, because I think the last time I was on with you guys was right before BioShock came out. So I played a little bit of that. Yeah, right before the collection came out. So I played a bit of that my birthday weekend. But yeah, Pokemon has kind of just taken over everything. But yeah, so I have played a little bit. I will say actually, Pokemon is getting me used to third person with double camera control, like with the camera control on the right, and
you have
then
a free cam.
Yeah, like that is actually really helping me because I've had a very, very, very difficult time with that. But I really love BioShock.
I'm finding going back to Pokemon from Xenoblade, where you have a much freer camera. I keep wanting to like zoom out and like tilt the camera up and everything, and I'm like, no, I can only rotate the camera around.
Yeah,
that's how it is when I go back to play like PS2, PS1 games. A lot of static camera, and I'm like trying to move my stick, and it's like nothing's happening.
Ocarina of Time, where you cannot control the camera at all, and it's just Z to look forward.
Yeah, I've actually found myself getting annoyed when I go into cities that I can't swivel my camera around.
Yeah.
So I have to say that is pretty good progress for me.
Yep.
It means that one of these days I might actually be able to play Skyrim and not get sick.
You'll be playing Dark Souls in no time.
Yes, there is hope for me yet. Yet.
Okay.
But yeah, so I've gotten a little bit of time in on those, but not much. It's mostly been Pokemon.
Yeah.
Every time you've gone on to play, you've seen that I've been playing Pokemon.
Yep.
What
So
about
Josh,
you guys? What have you been up to?
Me?
Josh,
Yeah.
Because I think you had finished Xenoblade.
I finished it
last episode.
2 weeks ago. I did finish it right before last episode, didn't I?
I think so.
I think I did.
Yeah,
I did. I'm pretty sure. Because I'm pretty sure I was like, oh, I can beat this before podcast.
Yep.
So yeah, I finished that, and then I played the Future Connected epilogue, and it's not really connected to anything. Just FYI.
That's
no
fine.
spoilers. I mean, I've been watching lore videos now that I finish it, and there's some loose connections to other Xeno games, not even in the Blade series, if you want to try to make those reaches, which is interesting and kind of cool nods for me because I really like the old Xeno games a lot. It was fun. Overall, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is a solid 7.5 out of 10 in my book. It's not bad. I enjoyed the game overall. I put darn near 100 plus hours into it in like 2 weeks.
How many points would a programmable AI system increase that rating for?
Here's my biggest thing. If I could use my bumpers to switch between characters, like Final Fantasy VII, where I can just switch between characters on the fly, or there's like a gambit system in like Final Fantasy 12 where you can say, if this, then this. Like if this character's at 70% health, use this heal move, or if they're at 50% health, use this. If whatever, and I could program it so AI is not just blowing heals when I'm down 50 HP out of 10,000. Like they're, and because of Charlotte's crappy mechanic with her gun, it's like, well, now she's gonna have to sit there and cool off her gun for 15 seconds while we're all dying for real now, and we could have now used heals. So like little things like that, and just I don't really like the combat system in general. It's just not my jam. To me, it feels a little slow and stilted. It's not bad. It's just not, like I said, I've been playing a lot of action games and really been more into like the action. I want to always be doing something with my controller. I don't want to wait on cooldowns and stuff if I don't have to. And it's not awful. Like that's the main thing for me. The story in the second half of the game is really good. Bit of a slow start, but after about halfway, it really picks up and like all the interesting stuff happens. And then it just has the problem that all open world games have, whereas that story gets disjointed and lost in the sauce of side quests. Because you just get so, if you're like me, you feel like you have to do every single side quest possible before you move on. You're just so methodical in your brain like that. For me, it's a little like, what was I doing and why was I here? And then once you get back on track, you're like, oh yeah. So it's a good game. It's not bad by any means. I enjoyed it. It's just not a 10 out of 10. Like I have for a 10 out of 10 for me, it has to. I mean, and that's my personal bias in games as well. So for somebody else, it could be a 10 out of 10 for sure. So it's a good game. I recommend it.
Remember, folks, even professional video game journalists will tell you the same thing, that a number
100%.
is just how they arbitrarily feel about the game. They are upfront about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite book of all time is Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, and a lot of people do not like that book because it's so violent and crazy. But I like it for certain reasons because it's so thought-provoking. So, it's just a personal preference, just like any piece of media in any way. So, and after that, Spider-Man, because I wanted an RPG break, and the Miles Morales trailer for the PS5 was like, oh yeah, Spider-Man came out like 2 years ago, and I always wanted to play it, and I never did. And I really, really like this Spider-Man game on PS4. It's so good. Gameplay-wise, it just is so smooth and such a dumb cliche. You feel like Spider-Man when you play. Such a dumb cliche, but it's just game feels so good. So like when you're swinging through the city, you're not doing anything other than you're just holding the R2 button and occasionally hitting X. That's about it when you're swinging through the city. But just like with this, the blur of the screen is just the right amount, a little bit of shake, and there's a little bit of rumble in the controller at the right times, right when you're would hit maximum velocity in your arc, and the way he moves when he's in different parts of the arc, it's just the feel of that feels right, and it feels good when you're doing it, even though you're not doing a whole heck of a lot. Combat's pretty simple. It's just mostly that square button. Overall, square and triangle, really. If you ever played any of the Batman Arkham games, it's very much like that.
Oh, nice.
You hit the assassin's button, and cool things happen pretty much without having to try too hard.
But also Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and in this one, your spider sense will go off when someone's about to attack you. You hit circle to dodge when you see it, and you can time it right to get a perfect dodge and web them up if you get a perfect dodge and stuff like that. So it's really good. And there's as you level up, you can learn different spider things you can do with your web and to improve your fighting techniques and do more interesting stuff. You can web up guys and throw them around and spin them around and hit all the guys around you. You can string them up in the rafters stealthily, and it does a good job of breaking up what you need to do. So sometimes you're just fighting a bunch of dudes and that's that. Sometimes you got to be stealth, and it turns into Metal Gear, and you just got to web them up into the rafters or take them out quietly so no one else notices. Sometimes it's a challenge where you just got to swing through the city and do certain things in a certain amount of time, and it does a really nice job. So here's what I want to talk about mainly this game. This is a 9 out of 10 game for me, by the way. The Spider-Man game, it's really good. I'm 70%, 75% through the main story. This is another game that has a lot of side quests and a lot of other things to do. So basically, you have the whole island of Manhattan to do whatever you want. And I'm also super impressed, and I am so curious how they get this whole island to load in. There's got to be some interesting trickery going on with how they're getting this whole island to because there's no load screens when you're out in the open world.
How do they do it without any narrow crevices to crawl through?
So and obviously when you get super close up to stuff looking in windows of buildings, you're not going to see details, but it's pretty impressive how they've rendered the whole entire island of Manhattan in this game. But so this is a game that has a lot of side quests, just like Xenoblade Chronicles. But in this game, it feels much more organic in how you come across them, because you can just kind of free roam the Manhattan. And so sometimes one of the first things you do is you start turning on these police towers so you can listen in and hear what crimes are going on, so you can go intervene.
Nice.
And just as you're swinging through the city, you'll hear oh, there's a car chase over here. And you're oh, I was going this way, but I guess I can veer off and go. And
that's really cool.
This is another thing where oh, I was thinking about this the other day. It's this really is kind of being like Spider-Man to you always feel compelled to have to help people. Because I was going to do this specific thing. It's oh, MJ is come over to my apartment for dinner. And okay, I'm going to do that. But it's oh, you there's these 3 different crimes happening on the way. And like, well, I really feel compelled to do these.
Well, and I
So-
think also I like that it's police scanner style. So like that's
Right.
how he would be getting that in.
And
it seems very.
they also
it seems like
establish
that makes sense.
it does, one, because Peter Parker's supposed to be super smart and like be able to
Yeah.
do science things and hacker man things and stuff like that. And it also establishes early on he's got like a friend, a captain on the force that he's got a contact with, that him and her like trade information and stuff and then help each other. So it's like it feels organic. Just you're traveling through the city and there's just like stuff to do as you go, and you can pick to do it as you want. And again, me methodically, I just hit everything as I go from point A to point B. And sometimes you'll just get veered way off. And like, you know, I'm trying to go to like the Brooklyn Bridge down in like the south part of Manhattan, but I end up all the way in Harlem in the north because I just followed a bunch of different side quests, and I just ended up going that way because.
And
so
then you're 3 hours late for dinner with MJ.
Exactly. It's another thing. You're always late. So Spider-Man, everything, you're always late. It's just a running gag. You're always late. And all the other MPs like Aunt May, MJ, Dr. Octavius, who's a good guy so far.
Yep.
What?
He's going to turn bad in a couple story quests, I can tell. But they're just always like, you're late again, and Pete's just like, yeah, sorry. He's always got.
I'm sorry. That's just who I am.
Basically, that's just who
late.
he is. So, and like story wise, the story is really good. Pete, this is like a Peter Parker who's probably like 24, 25 years old. He's out of college.
Okay.
He works with Dr. Octavius. And they're working on like creating prosthetics. And it does actually a really good job of making Doc Ock like super likable and relatable and understandable. He's like super caring with Pete. It's just him and Pete work together, and they're working on like government grants, and like part of the stories is like, oh, like we're losing funding, Peter, I can't pay you as much anymore. But Peter's like, well, I really want to work with you because you're a smart guy, and like, I know we can do good things and like help people. And but as the story goes on, Doc Ock's got like some neuromuscular disease, and we can already tell he's gonna go down the path of evil to
desperation.
Mostly desperation, but it makes it understandable. He's like, well, not only can I help people, but like I can like help myself, and like my mind still works, but my muscles won't, and I can make these prosthetics for myself. And like
I think
the last quest was like,
yeah, I mean that's a very common theme with Spider-Man villains, because like that's the whole point of the Lizard too.
Right. And one of the most fun things is Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson's. He's basically Bill O'Reilly or Sean Hannity. That's basically who he is.
Oh no.
He is, but he's got a radio show, and as you're swinging, you'll just pick up clips of him ranting about Spider-Man the Menace. He's like not with the Bugle anymore. He's got his own conservative radio show, and it's hilarious. And what's his name voices him? Reinhardt.
Is it
Reinhardt?
Oh, it's oh boy,
Darren DePaul. Darren DePaul voices him. I thought it was actually the actor who
J.K.
played
Simmons.
him. Yeah, I thought it was J.K. Simmons at first, but it's Darren DePaul. And what's interesting is his commentary changes as you do like different quests and side quests throughout the city.
Wait,
so,
who does Darren DePaul play?
He's Reinhardt. He was on Critical Role a couple times.
No, I know he was on Critical Role. Sorry, you went a little robot-y.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, okay.
J. Jonah Jameson. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
Putting that face with that. Okay.
It's good. So like, it's interesting because as you do quests, it changes. So like, say you're like catching pigeons for this like this guy. That's like one of the side quests. You got to go around catch pigeons. It's a fun quest because it's a swing through the city quest. You're chasing pigeons around the city like through narrow things and stuff. But it's like,
are these like special pigeons with homing beacons on them or something?
Nah, it's like this like homeless dude. He's like, my pigeons are gone. Spider-Man, can you help me? And Spider-Man's like, yeah, I'll help you out, man. And it's like, I'll help guide you back to you. It's actually like a really sweet quest, honestly. Triple J's like, someone saw Spider-Man chasing pigeons. What if he's not a man who got spider powers, but he's a spider who got the powers of a man, and he's trying to get food and he eats the pigeon. It's like, he just says like outlandish, ridiculous stuff. Because he's just always bashing on Spider-Man. But like that didn't happen until like 5 minutes after I finished that quest. So it's just interesting that he'll comment. He's like, "You defuse bombs." He's like, "Somebody saw Spider-Man messing with bombs on a building." It's like, so it's just the game feels very organic in that way, as like it's like a living city. So it's a lot of fun. I'll likely finish it up in probably a couple days. I've done a lot of the side stuff off. One thing, I wish there was more boss fights. There haven't been that many. It starts off, you fight Wilson Fisk, like right at the beginning, Kingpin. There's some side quests, like I just dealt with Taskmaster. Taskmaster is an enemy who can copy all of your moves. That's his deal. Fought some guy named Tombstone. I didn't even know who he was. He's a Spider-Man villain, apparently, who's just basically invulnerable for the most part. And he rides a motorcycle. Okay. So fought him. I fought Shocker. And that's it so far. So I was hoping there would be, you'd see a little bit more of like Norman Osborn's mayor of the city in this. So I don't know. He's not Green Goblin. And Harry's off in Europe, so no Hobgoblin. That's like one of the side quest changes. Like Harry left all these like science data like centers on top of buildings, and he left like voice messages for Peter to like do all this stuff. But I'm like, well, how would he expect Peter Parker to do all these crazy tasks? Like, does he know he's Spider-Man or like?
What even? I don't know. No.
I mean, if they're basing it off of the Tobey Maguire series, he did know.
Well, MJ definitely knows Peter is Spider-Man in this game for sure.
Yeah,
like it's established that MJ 100% knows Peter is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's the only person that so far has like.
Okay.
They've established knows it. And there's like this whole side thing where MJ and him are broken up, and like they're kind of rekindling the flame. And there's a couple sections where you play as MJ. She's a reporter for the Bugle, so I have no problem being MJ, but her sections are just kind of boring. It's just kind of like sneak around these places and take pictures, which is kind of a like you're being Spider-Man, you're doing all this fun Spider-Man stuff, and then it's like, oh, I'm playing just kind of sneaking around for 15 minutes, not like interesting abilities. But
that's
whatever.
The load screen.
Maybe. There's also like little like puzzles too. There's like a spectrograph puzzle that you do sometimes, and like a little very basic, simple like circuitry puzzles too that are nice little breaks, because it's again like you're in the lab doing science stuff sometimes with Doc Ock. So it's an interesting little kind of break from action, and I can figure them out, so they can't be that hard, but it makes me feel clever when I figure them out. So it
makes me feel good when I figure it out.
Yeah.
Perfect puzzle for me.
Yeah.
Not difficult, but it makes me feel clever. Fine. So this is like a 9 out of 10 game, and it makes me really excited for the. Oh, and Miles is in this a couple times.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's a little storyline with him and Peter right now going on.
That's something that I absolutely love about the Spider-Man universe, is that it is a multiverse, and I 100% love all of the different Spider-Man iterations.
I'm a real big fan of Miles as Spider-Man. He's a really good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So that's I'm really excited for the PS5 Spider-Man. So probably another couple days to finish this up, and then it'll be Xenoblade. I think Xenoblade 2, just because I want to get it done and really have all the lore connected in my head for me.
You gonna farm for Cosmos?
I'm not farming for waifus. I'm just gonna play the game. That's one of the things that kind of turns me off about that game, is the weird waifu farming.
Yeah. Well, and even if it's to get a blade for the gameplay aspect, it's like the fact that they gated them behind RNG mechanics is
gotcha stuff is not fun.
Especially like why even put it in a game? Like, I could understand if it was going to be microtransactions. Like, it's a scummy thing to do, but like I get it. Like, but you just put it in a game that you just pay and you bought it. Like,
who knows though? I may end up doing the same thing I did with like the first one, where I'll play through like all the main story stuff in stream, and then I'll spend a lot of time off stream Like what a lot of times do is I have like streams on my other monitor, and I'll just be playing, doing like side quest stuff. Like
I can tell you right now,
stuff.
Cosmos, totally not necessary to play that game. As somebody that still has not unlocked that blade. So,
but mostly I just kind of want to get through the story of this. I'm not as concerned with side quests and stuff. I just kind of want to get through and kind of consolidate all the lore and so I can kind of compare and contrast all the Xeno games, just because I really like the themes they use. But yeah, that's me.
Cool. Mine will be really quick because I don't really have anything new that I haven't been playing over the last couple of days or last couple of weeks even. Just Path of Exile, the Harvest League launched, so I've been leveling a character through that. Harvest mechanics are weird. It's like, so you'll find like a seed pod on a map, and you click it, and you get seeds. Then you go to it's like the Primordial Grove or something, and you then use these like you plant the seeds, and then you have to like use these combinations of like collectors and dispensers and pylons. Always must construct additional pylons. And basically what you do is like you plant the seeds, and after a certain amount of time they mature, and then if you have enough that are matured around a collector, you can hit the collector, and then it'll spawn the seeds, which erupt into monsters that you then, you know, wipe out with your wave clearing build. And then that like turns it into essence that's collected by the collector, and then you use that for like crafting. So once again, Path of Exile just adding like overly complicated mechanics to do basic game functions. When there's already a crafting bench in the game, now you have a second crafting bench that requires complicated mechanics in order to do.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a thing. It's whatever. It's when I feel like just mindlessly grinding, that's what I'll do, because it feels good to just wave clear enemies over and over again. Other than that, Animal Crossing Xenoblade Chronicles, nothing new. I will say one thing is I have been working, so I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but basically I will be working on some rewrites for Tales of Jamora over the break, just lore-wise, kind of fleshing things out a little bit more. But I have also been working on some subsystems. I don't think I'm going to put them into effect for the current campaign, but we'll try and put them into effect for future games, if future games happen. But basically things like kind of fleshing out a little bit more of a social interaction aspect of the game, since basically people talk about D&D as just one combat simulator because like they didn't really devote any, like, they mention in the books and everything that they wanted to leave it open-ended for people to do and just freely roleplay. But it's been pointed out that like there's indie games that actually provide structure that do a better job at doing like social mechanics for a role-playing game. So basically I wanted to introduce like using favors and contacts a little bit more and introducing a little bit of structure for basically getting NPCs to do what you want. And taking a little bit of inspiration from like when Critical Role did the Monster High game, and how like you picked up like, I can't, like if there were threads or something on other players. So it's basically like to represent that you have some leverage on another character. So kind of using this as an idea. Also applying some non-combat mechanics to existing entirely combat class features. So things like a barbarian's danger sense, right? So as you sense danger, you know, it's like you have like advantage on dexterity saves or whatever. But it's also now as a reaction, you can kind of analyze something. So it's like make an investigation, perception, or insight check. So it's, the idea is like, if you have danger sense, like you're ready at a moment's notice or whatever. So like when something happens, like you can use your reaction to get a quick read as to what's happening and then decide what you want to do. It could be like so I set it up so that there's a negotiate action to cover like social stuff. Barbarians, they can just decide, I'm done. So you can so
flip tables and
so I added that because I don't know why they didn't put this in there already. But while raging, advantage on ability checks made to intimidate others. Because like you get advantage on strength-based ability checks, which if you do, the strength variant for intimidation, that applies. But this is so that like a barbarian raging is probably pretty scary and can probably get whatever they want from an NPC if that happens.
Yeah.
The idea is, so if you do that, you don't have to like spend favor, quote unquote, to get an NPC to do what you want. Mm-hmm. However, if you do that, that means you develop a bad reputation in town, which has consequences.
Yeah, I was reading through what you sent me earlier.
Yeah, so things like it's like fighters. This was something that came up later today. So fighters, they don't really have a lot of mechanics, period, just as far as the base class. So took two of the iconic ones, Action Surge and Second Wind, and now, so, and they have a very huge combat potential. The idea is, well, what if you could do that in a non-combat setting? I'm thinking, like, what are some times in which, like, you would really want to push yourself or get a second wind? And it's like, oh, well, if you're crafting or if you're working, kind of a thing. So the idea is, during downtime, if you're going to spend your downtime, like, crafting or working or whatever, you can, spend your second wind to work twice as long in a day and get twice as much progress. You can also spend your action surge to say, like, oh, I get really pumped up and I work twice as hard. So that essentially it's the same that you get twice as much done within a standard workday. The idea being, number one, that if that downtime gets interrupted or after that downtime, like, you have an encounter, those abilities wouldn't be available if you chose to use them. The other thing being, so like you can also stack them so that you could get like 3 days worth of work done in one day if you wish. The drawback is using each of them, you gain a level of exhaustion the next day.
Ooh,
you're exhausted.
Yeah, so 3 levels of exhaustion is
if you really wish to push yourself and practice unhealthy work habits, the game will let you, but you also just might want to sleep the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, because what is it? At level 3, it's your speed is halved.
Yeah.
As well as all ability checks.
This would be that you gain 2 levels of exhaustion. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One thing I noted, full spellcasters, again, they also don't really have a lot of mechanics that would need to have social stuff added to or whatever. Mm-hmm. Especially like the really full spellcasters, like Druid, Cleric, Wizard. I still have to check out Sorcerer, but a lot of those are more focused on the spells. Bard, I added a couple of things just to make them a little more, like, they're already pretty socially oriented. This is to like just add a couple of little things. So yeah, just taking a look at some stuff to kind of beef up the interaction and exploration tiers for D&D. As a way to perhaps de-emphasize combat a little bit.
Yeah.
Again, not going to put these changes in to the current campaign for Jamora, unless, I don't know, for some reason everybody wants to after we come back from the break, but it'll be something that we might do for like one-shots to play test and stuff. So yeah. When I have stuff ready in a coherent format, I'll put it up on the Patreon for patrons to have a look at, get their thoughts on.
That's nice.
And that's it. Otherwise, I'm just preparing for baby.
We are on baby count.
That is all I'm doing. So
baby watch.
That said, we are finished. So if you'd like to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, be sure to check out 8-bitadventures.com. Over there, you can find comics, artwork, podcasts, videos, and more. If you would like to help support that content, you can either subscribe here on Twitch or do bits or whatever, all that stuff. Or you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Big shout out and thank you to all of our current patrons.
Whoop, whoop.
Thank you so much. And our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And with that, have fun, everyone. Happy gaming. And enjoy your pie cake.
Bye, everybody.